Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Rod Bristol with Profit Mastery here in Seattle. I want to thank you for joining us on our webinar today. Mark asked me to take about a half hour to share with you a little bit about Profit Mastery. I had a chance to chat with Carol just a little bit ago, and she's been with the Illinois SBDC 5 years, and actually knows about Profit Mastery. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this with the rest of you. So Profit Mastery in the Illinois SBDC, just a little bit of history. Well, we go back a long way. I mean, you were one of the first early adapters of using our Profit Mastery videos to teach finance to your business owner clients. And we have these wonderful expressions, these wonderful evaluations from your clients about having taken the class and what it did for them in their businesses. So I'm so pleased to have the opportunity to just share a little bit more about this with you. So first things first, grab your handouts. Mark sent you a PDF. He asked you to download the handout and have it available. It's also available on the GoToWebinar website where this webinar is. And it's a little PDF. If you could just download it and make sure that it's available for you, that would really be helpful, because the things that I'm going to talk about, especially if you're not familiar with Profit Mastery, having this in front of you will really help, because I'll have it up on the screen, but sometimes it's a little more challenging if you don't have it in paper. Excuse me. When we teach Profit Mastery, we obviously use handouts. You use a book called the Participant's Guide, typically, which has all of the information that I'm going to show you today, plus just a wonderful array of tools that give you the ability to help your business owner clients do better. So first of all, who is helped by Profit Mastery? Well, from the individual that comes in that says, I'm thinking about starting a business, can you help me? To the person that maybe is just sort of in business, and especially the person who owns a business. They've been in business, say, 3 to 5 years. They maybe employ 5 to 50 people. They maybe do $500,000 to $1 million or $5 million in business. That person that you are really trying to serve, because they are going to have more opportunities to go out and get loans and develop some of the metrics that we know you're measured by, that person is wonderfully helped by Profit Mastery. So let me just kind of get started here. I just want to walk through. This is the sort of the 30,000 foot overview of the Profit Mastery curriculum today. So I have a basic fundamental question for you. Who eats where? And what's more important? And here's this fundamental truth. Your clients, when I was a business owner, I focused on this thing called the top line. I wanted to drive my sales up. And if I thought if I could just get my sales up, all of my problems would be solved. Here's this thing, though. Your clients eat off of something totally different. They eat, they support their families, they grow their businesses, they have the ability to go out and get additional financing, not based on the top line, but based on the bottom line. They eat off of what is left after everybody else gets everything else, and that's what's left for them. That's how it worked for me. And here is this fundamental truth. It's a truth that I had to learn. It's a truth that you have to be able to share with your clients. In order to improve this thing that we call the bottom line, you have to improve your clients. Nobody else can do it for them. Their CPA can't do it. Their banker can't do it. Their spouse can't do it. They have to start with them. And if we can raise their financial acumen, if we can lift them up to the next level of knowledge and capacity and understanding, good things happen. And so many times business owners say, no thanks, I'll just skip this step. I'm not going to fuss with it. And they lose so many ways of growing their business and making their business better. We have so many wonderful testimonials right from your Illinois SBDC clients, and frankly from clients literally all over the country, that says, this thing that we just went through, this thing called Profit Mastery, I wish I'd learned it 30 years ago. I would have a better business now if I had spent the time to learn it then. So now, what two things are critical? Well, in any business, profits are critical and cash flow is critical. Both of those things are critically important in order to make a business successful. And here's the thing, they're not the same. Profits and cash flow are very different. They are measured differently, they're managed differently, they're a different animal inside of a business. And give me just a second. My battery and my stylus just died. You never know when they're going to die. and I should have replaced it before we started, so just hang tight. I'll stick a new one in and we'll keep going, because I thought it was okay. Alrighty then. Thanks for your patience as we get back to be able to. When we teach Profit Mastery, we annotate our slides. We add, subtract, multiply, divide, and we do all sorts of different things. So we're just going to make sure that the process is working. There we go. Okay, profits and cash flow. How are they achieved? Well, the question that we ask are profits and cash flow, are they the same thing? And so many business owners think they are, but they're not. Profits and cash are totally different. I mean, we work through the process of understanding that, yes, you can have profits on the income statement and you can be overdrafted at the bank. How is that possible? Because profits and cash aren't the same thing. And if we can help business owners understand that and know how they're measured and how they're managed, we gain great value. What we want to do in Profit Mastery is we want to do two things. The first part of Profit Mastery enables a business owner to really get control of their business, to grab it and to understand where it's at, using ratios and using benchmarks to be able to understand kind of where they are in their business life and how they could be better. The second thing we do, the second part of Profit Mastery, what we call day two, takes the business owner from where they are and it moves them forward. We chart a course for the future. We try to give them this vision of, here's what it could look like. Here's the cash flow that you're going to achieve. Here's the amount of money that you may need to be able to grow your business. And with those things, we have the ability to make their businesses better. And what we want to do is to help them manage better. And we want to measure their financial performance. Profit Mastery is not going to help them do Google AdWords or improve their Facebook advertising. Profit Mastery will take care of the profits and the cash flow, because we know, frankly, if we can improve the profits and if we can improve the cash flow, their whole life gets better. It's what happened for me in my business. When my business got better, my wife got happier. My children saw me more, because I was able to get a handle on those things that made the business more successful. And ultimately, we're going to measure it, and we're going to try to help the clients do something. What's the hardest thing for your clients to do? What's the hardest thing? It's not managing people. It's doing something different. It's taking the ideas that they learned from Profit Mastery and actually going back and doing something with it. That's the hardest thing. That's where you come in as a counselor. We look at you as the implementers. We can help get the knowledge into their heads. You actually have to get the knowledge from their heads into their business. And that's where that's where it really makes a difference. So now there's three parts to this. In your handouts, flip over to page 2 now and stay with me. All the page numbers are up here. Most of the time I tell you where we're at. Sometimes I'll forget. So just kind of stay with me and we'll be good to go. There are 3 parts to Profit Mastery. Education, which I'm doing with you now. We do live programming, we do webinars, etc. Provides a foundation of understanding. It gives your clients the ability to really understand what the financial numbers are telling them. We want it to not just be numbers on a page. We want the numbers to pop up off the page. We want the numbers to actually tell a story that give them management intelligence. That's what we're trying to achieve. And what you use to do that most of the time is called Profit Mastery University. It's our online streaming video that teaches the entire Profit Mastery curriculum. You assisted. If you're a certified facilitator, you've used the tool in front of a group of business owners, and you've you know the process. And it's a wonderful process. I know it sounds crazy, right? Teaching finance in a classroom of business owners using a video. But I promise you, it really works well. It really does. It's just kind of interesting. So the second thing we do are benchmark studies, which create a yardstick of measurement. It is not enough for your client to know what is happening in their business today. That's a good thing to know, but that's not enough. What you have to do is get a benchmark and compare them to an industry standard. And when we do that, as we're going to demonstrate in just a couple minutes, good things happen, because then they start to get this glimpse of, maybe my business could be better if I managed it better. What a concept, right? And then the last thing that we do are what are called performance groups, where we get a group of 10 people together We focus them on the numbers. We lay out we lay out all of their financial information side by side, all the profits, the losses, and their balance sheets, showing them their current, quick, and debt to worth ratios. It's kind of like getting naked in front of a group of strangers. You get very friendly very fast when you have all the numbers laid out side by side. And then, of course, they work together. They work together to try to make them better. And in a performance group, it's not the person who is growing the fastest. It's the person who is improving these ratios the fastest, who's gaining the greatest improvement. You, as an SBDC counselor, we consider you to be a performance group of one. You can provide the accountability. That's what makes the difference, to be able to go back in on a monthly or a quarterly visit and say, hey, did you do anything with the stuff that we taught you? Because then you can really make a difference. Because honestly, if it's not you, nobody else is holding them accountable. Nobody else is making them do the hard things that could cause their business to be more successful. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about profitability. I'm going to work on cash flow a little bit today. We're going to talk a little bit about bankability. What do we bring to the table that helps a business owner understand what is the bank looking for, and how do we make it better? And ultimately, the goal of Profit Mastery, the goal of your goal as the SBDC counselor that is teaching this thing we call finance, using Profit Mastery, is to create a more financially capable client, someone who understands. So you regularly get clients who bring in crap. I mean, for financial information, it's just terrible. I mean, back in the day it was a shoebox. Typically today it's just a horribly laid out or horribly implemented typical set of QuickBooks books. Profit Mastery creates the want to. I want to have better financial information, because for the first time in my business life, I actually understand what it tells me and how valuable it could be. So if you're looking for a way to take a client who is so frustrating because they do not understand the value, nor have they invested the money in creating better financial information, this is one of the things that can help you accomplish that. Now, on page 3, there are 7 pieces to this. Number 1 is to plan properly before you get into business, so you kind of have a clue as to where you're going. Number 2 is to monitor financial position using a tool I'm going to show you called the scorecard, and a really interesting thing developed by our chairman, Steve Lefevre, called the roadmap. It's a picture of how money flows through a business. Then we work on break even, understanding this relationship between pricing, volume, and cost, teaching them how to calculate their contribution margin and why it's so important, and how to use it to make better business decisions. Then we talk about managing cash flow. In the curriculum, it's about a 3.5 hour piece where we actually lay out, God help us, a month-by-month cash flow statement where we do a profit plan on the top, a cash budget in the middle, and a set of loans down on the bottom, and we make them do it by hand. Oh, the whining. You would be so amazed at the whining. But here's the thing. If we can get them to do it by hand just once, there are these wonderful light bulbs that go off inside their head where all of a sudden they understand that, wow, there really is a difference between profitability on my income statement and cash flow in my checkbook. And they start to understand the difference between the two. Then managing growth, it's a little tool called Financial Gap. We can teach them how to calculate how much money they're going to need at various levels of growth. Number 6 is borrowing properly, dealing with banks. And number 7 is really planning for transition. This one gets them into business. These next 2 through 6 get the business up to a new hopeful level of success and prosperity. And this last one gets them to their happy place. It gets them out doing something fun, playing with the grandchildren, or teaching Profit Mastery, or whatever it is that is their new thing. So now we're going to just very quickly go. I don't have time to teach you the class, but I'm going to kind of show you the tools that we use to deliver to your clients finance. And we start on page 4 with what we call the financial operating cycle. And we work on both the balance sheet and the income statement. And we show how this flow of money goes through, driving the efficiency of capital. That's the word I want you to write in on your handout. I want you to write in efficiency. We want your clients' money in their business to work as hard as they do. And we help them understand that net profits are measured over here on the income statement, but cash flow is measured and managed. It's grown on something totally different. It's grown on the balance sheet. And so many business owners, they take that balance sheet that they get on the top of their statement and they rip that baby off and they throw it away because they want to get down to the good stuff. We're going to show them how to marry them together. We're going to show them how using an income statement and a balance sheet, creating ratios, really helps them grow a business better. And we do that through a little case study called Cascade Office Systems. It was a business that was transitioned to the kids, to the daughter and the son-in-law. They developed a new product line. They expanded their building. They did a promotion last year based on the price and quality of the custom office furniture that they make. And they, in this little case study, are at the bank because they are struggling. And they don't know why. They don't know why. They've had a really, really rockin' sales year, but their cash flow is terrible. And we lay out some action steps. How are we going to help them? We're going to gather accurate and timely information. And we explain in a class like this, what is the minimum acceptable standard? For your clients, the minimum acceptable standard for financial reporting is an income statement and a balance sheet delivered to them, the owner, on the 15th day following the close of business of the previous month, every month, period. That's it. And if your clients are dealing with a quarterly financial statement, you make them fix it. You make them, you encourage them, you show them the value of having monthly financial information. And we really focus on that. Number two is we package the information differently to see the relationships using ratios. Then we're going to go out and we're going to record some industry composites. We use an RMA report to do that. We compare the results, we analyze the possible causes of problems, and then we create a profit mastery assessment. We create a plan to be able to make it better. And this is management. This is the process that creates wealth. On page 5, we start with a 3-year income statement. 2 years ago, 1 year ago, and the most recent year. And we note that sales have rocked. I mean, they broke that $2 million sales mark this last year. However, expenses have gone up faster than sales, squeezing gross margin. This is a clear representation of the vast majority of your clients. Sometimes increasing revenue, but almost in every case, increased costs, which squeeze gross margin. And if we can help them understand that, one, that it's happening to them, and then how to fix it, life can get really better. If you drop all the way down to the bottom line, we note that this little business had pretty good profits in the first 2 years, and last year, profits were terrible. I mean, they totally fell off the turnip truck. And then we have to try to figure out why. And of course, it's inside the expenses. It's inside some additional interest that they've had to pay, which leads us to the balance sheet on page 6. Again, 3 years. And the first thing that we do is we have the clients right up at the top of the balance sheet, the sales from the years just completed, $2,160,000 of sales. The whole purpose of the balance sheet is to support the sales that are created on the income statement. And we note that this little business used up $1,131,000 worth of assets to create sales of $2,160,000. And good news, if you drop all the way down to the bottom, the balance sheet balances, and we can keep the accountant for another year. That's a good thing. And of course, there's so many stories inside this balance sheet. There's stories about cash. There's stories, go away. There's stories about the things that make this balance sheet a challenge. Things like inventory, things like receivables. And we take these two items and we marry them together on what we call on your page 7, the scorecard. And we complete this scorecard and we find out some really interesting things. We find out that this business is really struggling. And after we do this, the business owner says, so what? Why is this important to me? So we use a little phrase. For every dollar of what's on the bottom of these ratios, you have X dollars of what's on top. And for example, in the current ratio, in year 1, for every dollar that we had going out in current liabilities, we had $1.70 coming in to cover it. In year 2, for every dollar going out, we had $1.10. In year 3, for every dollar going out in current liabilities, We have 99 cents to cover it. What have we created in this business? The formal technical accounting term is a mess. We've created a mess inside this business. What about gross margin? Well, in year one, for every dollar that we had in sales, we created 21 cents in gross margin. In year two, 20 cents. In year three, 18.5 cents. And oh, by the way, we looked inside the industry, and inside this industry, the industry is at 22%, 22.2. There's roughly a 4% difference from this business to other people who do exactly what they do, only better. Using the benchmark, we have the ability to figure out why. So we take all of this information on page 8, we use this wonderful tool called the roadmap. And the roadmap has some very interesting characteristics. We talk about low cash, we talk about low gross margin, and we talk about low net profit. And using this roadmap, charting how money flows through a business, we can figure out how we could make the business better. And so we do that, and we use all of these items, all of these different things inside a business to try to figure out where we could improve gross margin. How could we improve inventory? How could we improve receivables? Maybe do some better financing. And if we do these things, maybe it improves this. And if we do these things, maybe it actually makes a difference over here. This roadmap, using the arrows, gives us direction. It gives us focus inside of a business. And then on page 9, we create the final outcome, the assessment. We create a plan that says, last year, this little business had $12,300 in cash. A little sloppy there, sorry. And we are sitting on about $202,000 worth of cash. And last year, we made about $5,400 in net after-tax profit. And there's about $100,000 that we could create if we managed better. And so then we can use this as a plan to move the business forward. Section 3 talks about break even, and it teaches the single most valuable, incredible, useful number in all of finance, which is your contribution margin percentage, how to create it and then how to use it. We asked them on page 10 to write down their monthly break even, their annual break even, and some other basic questions. And this one is really important. We asked them that question because then we're going to teach them break even. We asked them to go back, and we asked them to take a look at the number that they wrote down in class and compare it to the real one. And when they do, they discover this amazing thing. They discover that learning has actually occurred. They actually discover that what they thought they knew in their brain about their business really wasn't right at all. And it's this wonderful time of coming back to the conclusion that, I really have a new financial tool in my quiver there. On page 11, we take a standard accountant statement and we reclassify the costs into fixed and variable. So we create sales minus all of our variable costs, gives us this magic number, our contribution margin. And we use that number in a variety of different ways, including covering our fixed costs to create net profit. And then we use a little diagram, and we are very big on diagrams in Profit Mastery to help us understand how money flows through a business. And this is a picture, it's a visual picture of a profit and loss statement. And we use this tool to help them understand the value of contribution margin, especially used as a percent of sales. And then we do a very interesting calculation. If fixed costs go up by just $1, in Profit Mastery, we really like to get things from $1 down to $1 and down to a day. If we can get them at that point inside the business, really helps them understand how they can make the business better. So fixed costs go up by $1 in our little example. Every time in this business, fixed costs go up by just $1, they have to go find, beg, steal, come up with $2.50 in new revenue to cover it. This formula, this simple formula, when you apply it across a fixed cost spectrum inside of a business, is wonderfully helpful for a business owner trying to make better business decisions. It provides what we call operating leverage. So now then, this is the financial education life cycle. Your clients, they get into business, and the very first thing they're going to focus on are sales. And they're going to really spend a lot of time here. Here's what happens about 5 years later. All of a sudden, they realize, well, okay, maybe I should focus on my cash flow because I'm really struggling to pay my bills. And yes, my sales may be up, but this is really where I need to be. And all of a sudden, maybe Maybe I should really spend a little time understanding my balance sheet, because that's where cash is created, that's where it's measured, that's where it's managed. So on page 12, we do the cash flow statement that I talked about earlier. We do a profit plan, we do a cash budget, and we do a series of loans. And we discover a really cool thing. This business is going to project $43,000 worth of profit. They're going to start the year with $6,800 in cash. They're going to borrow and, hallelujah, repay back to the bank on their line of credit $220,000, and they're going to end the year with a whopping $7,400. They're going to create a magical $600 in new cash over the course of 12 months. Of course, there's a lot more to it than that too, but we really try to help the business owners understand this great mystery. How can you create $43,000 in profits with only $220,000, and $42,000 in profits, and borrow and repay $220,000 on your line of credit? How does that happen? And I know it sounds crazy, okay, to have to do this by hand, where we actually make them fill in the numbers and calculate their cash and then bring it up to the top of the next month and spend it. But once they do it once by hand, just by hand, the light bulbs do come on. And of course, you have Excel spreadsheets that were developed by Jennifer Pontonen, formerly of the Minnesota SBDC, that you can use. We have a profit gap tool. There's a lot of different ways to do this, of course, not by hand, but doing it by hand the first time really makes a difference. And we discover as we do this on page 13 that there's some really cool things going on. We discover in this business, as our sales go up, for some crazy reason, our cash goes down. Why? Why does that? And then why all of a sudden does it spike back up again? We explain all of that inside this process. And on page 14, we talk about financial gap, and we identify the 4 sources of money to grow. And we get down to the bank, and we have to try to calculate how much money does it take to grow. And we take a little business on page 15 that was at $600,000, and they didn't need a dime on their line of credit. And then this next year, they want to grow to $900,000, and they discover this amazing thing. Using this process of financial gap, we can come up and discover that this business, in order to grow to $900,000 in volume, it has to come up with $126,000 in new resources to fund it. And we use all 4 sources of money to grow. We use them all. And then this is what we wind up with. And then we do a little balance sheet checklist where we figure out all the different ways that a person could use a balance sheet to create more cash in a business. And we discover this really cool thing. If we could manage our receivables and our inventory inside this business better, just managing them to a standard within their industry, we can grow this same business to $900,000 with zero additional borrowing requirements. And even more importantly, we use the process that we learned in module 2, and we discover this amazing thing. If we can manage this better, we can grow to 900,000, and we have much better ratios than we had before. Using ratios is a way to tell us the real story. On page 19, we talk about how to deal with banks. We talk about the kinds of things that you're going to have, how you're going to finance them, how you're going to pay them off, and what are the things that the bank wants from a business owner. And on page 20, we talk about really just the 3 basic things. There are 3 basic business decisions that a business owner has to make as they're talking about planning for transition. Maybe they're going to keep it, maybe they're going to pass it on to kids, or maybe other family members that work in the business. Maybe they'll be able to sell it or merge it with another one. Or if worse comes to worse, you shut it down, liquidate it. But the process of planning, this is equally as important to do as you're moving out of a business. In my opinion, it's even more important than even when you're getting into doing the beginning part of a business, actually setting it up. Because this process right here, it sets up the rest of your life, your client's life, their children's life, sometimes even their grandchildren's life. If you get this right, great things can happen. If you get this wrong, I can speak from personal experience that bad things happen. So why don't more owners do this? Well, they say they don't have the time or they don't know how. If it was important, my CPA would do it. You have to improve them. You have to improve them in order to make the process, in order to take their business up to the higher level. It's not fun. Making money is fun. When I owned my business here in Seattle, making money was great. Losing money was really the pits, and I'm sure that your clients have been there too. And the classic. I don't want to fuss with learning profit mastery and this finance thing until maybe I get into some sort of crisis, because I just, I don't want to take the time. Well, this is your client. This was me before I learned these financial tools for my business. And the world just has a way of coming along and kicking us really hard when we don't get our head out of the sand and pay attention. We want to take your clients and improve their ability to understand the financial activities in their business by allowing them to understand and get, first of all, control of the business. Because so often our clients feel like it's spinning out of control. We want to be able to help them go to a bank and get the resources that they need to be able to grow the business when it comes time to grow. And we want to be able to sustain that process. And it's delivered by driving up profitability inside the business. And that's achieved by what we call knowledge-driven financial performance. That is what Profit Mastery is all about. And I'm so pleased to give you the quick over-the-top overview of the curriculum. And I want to just thank you for giving me the chance to do that. And I have a few minutes to say it's 8:30, it's probably 10:30 your time. And I'm going to open up our system here. And you look like you've all muted yourselves, which is great. I'm available to take questions. So if you have any questions of me, you can unmute yourself. You can ask the question, and I'll repeat the question, and then I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. I didn't show you pieces of the video because it's challenging to try to do that in a GoToWebinar format. But those of you who are sort of seasoned SBDC counselors there should have a username and password to our online video series. And if you wanted me to at some point in time, or someone else here on staff could kind of walk you through the videos and how it works and that type of thing. So I'm available for any questions if you have. If not, then I can sign off and let you guys get on with your week. Any questions from anybody? Alrighty then. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share with you Profit Mastery. It is a wonderful financial training tool, and it will deliver to your clients value. When you finish Profit Mastery and your clients are talking with you about it, they will look at you and they will say, "Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to do this." And that's just how it works. So very good. Thanks so much. Any questions, you can always email me, Bristol at brs-seattle.com. Mark Petrelli has all of our contact information, and we're here to serve you in whatever capacity that we can to help you help your clients have better businesses. Thanks so much.